Hello everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're going to be making an Aurora effect slab. So here's what we're going to need for today. We're going to need some Sculpey Premo translucent clay, and then we're going to be dyeing it using clay today instead of alcohol inks. So we don't need a lot of any of these colors. I'm using some cobalt blue, some mint, and fluorescent pink and fluorescent yellow. So the fluorescent colors are very important here. The blues, you could really use any shades of blue that you have on hand, but these are the ones I'm going to be using today. Then this is specific. You need some Kamenskaya ink, specifically the Northern Lights color, because that's going to give, you can already kind of see it on the bottle, a sort of color shift effect that's important in order to capture sort of the Aurora look. Then we'll need a tissue blade, an acrylic roller, and I also have my Atlas 150 clay roller that I use. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is color our clay using these pieces. But I'm gonna create a few shades in between what we have here just to get a full range. So I'll just show you what those look like right now. So I'm gonna combine these two to make purple. I'm going to have one of these by itself, and then I'm going to have another one mixed with a small bit of blue. That one's by itself like that. And then I'm gonna have a solid blue. And then this one I'm just gonna leave like this because it does blend quite a bit outside of that. So we should have 6 different color variations. So I'm going to divide this into 6 pieces now, approximately. Doesn't matter if they're totally even or not. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix one of these colors per piece here until I have all of these colors nicely combined. So I'm going to run them through my clay roller in order to do that, and I'll come back and show you what those colors look like. Okay, so here's our mixed colors. The reason I am not using alcohol ink is because I want the colors to be really pigmented, but I still want to retain the transparency that you get when you're using translucent clay. So these won't be as transparent as they would be if I was using alcohol ink, but it's still enough that it's going to help with the blending that we're going to be doing in this technique. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take these and I'm going to cut them all in half like this. And then I'm going to stack them. So I'm gonna start with the purple, then I'll go in with the blue. We're trying to spread out the colors as much as possible, knowing that lighter colors, whatever you put them next to, it's going to blend into that. So that's why we use a yellow instead of the eventual green that we want, because this is going to blend into green through this technique. So that's why I want to make sure I have blue on both sides of this. Oops, I'm gonna put one of these blues in. There. So sort of a stack a little bit like this. And then I'm going to take my clay roller, and I'm just gonna roll it out so it's a bit thinner. And just by doing this already, you can see that this is starting to blend in to the other colors here. So blend it, so roll it until you get it to be about this thin. And then we're going to take it and dice it up for our cane. Okay. So then you take it and just dice it like you would normally in any sort of marbling technique. Oop. There we go. So it's gonna end up looking kind of like this, kind of psychedelic. So we're just gonna spread all of these pieces out, and we're gonna come in with the alcohol ink now. This is a trust the process tutorial. But I find using this technique where you have the lines like this really helps to blend the colors evenly once you create the slab. So that's why we're doing it this way. Okay. And this is a technique that you could do with any colors. I just happen to like these colors. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with this ink and coat them. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of sediment at the bottom of this. This will happen with this type of ink. So there's typically a ball inside of here. So you really wanna shake this hard to get all of this loose, because otherwise the solution will be pretty diluted. And sometimes I squeeze the top too, just to get it moving. Come on. So make sure you give it a good shake before you're applying it onto there. So after you've given it a good shake, you can put it on. So it should look pretty pearlescent like that. If it's looking thinner than that, then you probably didn't shake it enough. So we're just gonna put a nice coat on here. If you have a disposable glove, you can put it on to mix. I'm out, so I'm gonna go in bare. And we're just gonna coat all the pieces in this ink. Be aware, this ink has a very strong smell. So if you're sensitive to smell, you might need to hold your breath for this part. Okay. Then when they're all coated, we're gonna give it a minute to dry. It shouldn't take too long, and then we'll come back to form the cane. So now that it's dry, I'm just gonna come back in, take all the pieces, and we're just going to squeeze it into a cane. So you squeeze it in your palm first to get it nice and combined, and then I will go in with my clay roller just to really squish it together into that nice shape. Even push it against the table too. There we go. And then I'll go on with my clay roller and kind of do this. Okay, so I'm just gonna slice into this. This is what it looks like so far. I mean, that alone is already very cool, but this is a trust the process because it's going to look different once we blend it. Okay, we've got it sliced up, and then we're gonna take it and lay it out into the shape of our slab like this. Take my clay roller and I'm just going to roll until the corners in the middle here sort of combine. This is just so that I know that it's going to stick together when I put it through my big clay roller. If you find some pieces are still sticking or pulling apart, then I just overlap them a little bit, like here. Okay, so here's where the magic happens. We're gonna run this through our my Atlas 150 3 times, maybe more if it needs more, but I think 3 times generally seems to work for me. So it's important that we don't over mix this, because the more you mix, the more combined the colors are gonna get. And there's a very fine line of still having enough distinction between the colors and then over mixing to the point where it just becomes muddled. So you're gonna start on 0 on your clay roller, and we're gonna put it through once. I will come back and show you what that looks like, and then we're gonna fold it in half and go through again. Okay, so first time, no fold, we're gonna go through the clay roller like this on setting 0. So here's what it looks like after that. As you can see, I've got some gappage, but that's okay because I'm gonna fold it now. So I'm gonna fold it in half, making sure the end pieces that were there, the outside of the cane is in the inside. I'm gonna fold it in half, and now I'm gonna put it through my clay roller again, this time in the opposite direction, still on setting 0. So here we are after that pass. As you can see, it's starting to get a bit more blended, but it's still a bit too distinct. So you go and choose your favorite side. I think I like this side better. And then you're gonna fold it again. And we're gonna go through again on setting 0, going this way again. So it's important that you switch sides so that the shape doesn't get too elongated. So here it is after the third pass. I'm gonna do one more pass at this just to get some of these lines a bit more defined, or a bit more blended, sorry. So you kind of look and you pick your side that you want. I think I'm gonna go this side. I'm gonna fold it in half. Actually, I'm gonna go the other side. Yeah. I'm gonna fold it in half, and we're gonna go the opposite direction again. So we're gonna go down this way. There we go. See how that's like a cool Aurora effect, and you still get the shimmer, the color shifting shimmer in between from that ink. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bump my clay roller up to number 2, and I'm gonna run it through there again. I probably have to cut this in half to do this, if that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna run it through there just to get it at the right thickness for cutting. So I'm going to go through this way with both of these pieces, and then I'll come back and show you what the final result looks like of the slab. So here are the slabs. They're ready to be cut into. These were the sides I liked more. I don't mind this sort of more condensed line in the middle, but if I didn't like it, I could always take this and just flip it over to the other side, which is also very cool. So that's how you do sort of an Aurora effect. You can use whatever colors you want. You can be more traditional to what the Aurora Borealis actually looks like, or you can just do your own colors and end up with a cool rainbow. So these are ready to be cut into now. So I'm going to slice into them, and I'm gonna bake them in the oven at 265 for 30 minutes, and then I'll come back and show you guys the final result of the finished pieces. So here's a look at some of the final pieces after they've been resined. I just think that looks so cool. So you can see the color shift of the alcohol ink in there. Beautiful. Here's another one of that same shape that has even more of sort of the colors. Then I have some smaller ones I did. These ones really give off an Aurora vibe. Here's a look at all of them together. So I hope you enjoyed this week's tutorial. As always, please tag me in any creations that you make using this tutorial. I'd love to see what you guys are doing with it. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another tutorial. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. Thanks. Bye.